Welcome. So welcome to our gathering webinar that we've called The Missing Piece, Listening to the Body. So, I think this is the third one we've done this year together, Julie and I. As you've probably gathered, because I think a few of you have been here before. We're going to be working together, facilitating. We do not see ourselves as experts. We had that conversation, didn't we, Julie, recently? We do not see ourselves as experts. We see ourselves as facilitators. We want very much to be facilitating a group here in Albania, where I am, in Spain in September. Quiet Mind, Quiet Body, which we did last year, and it was amazing. There's a couple of people definitely here that were on that last year. It was really, really special. And yeah, we're looking forward to running that again in September. So this is a taster, kind of for you to get to know Julie and I, and also what we'll be exploring. So we're going to make this the last couple of sessions that we've done, we've been kind of had the intention for them to be very experiential, and we're not saying that this isn't, but we also today want to make it pretty quite interactive. So be prepared for some interaction. So yeah, just in case there's anybody here who doesn't know me, so I'm Sheela Masand. I have no idea what I'm going to say about me today. So I've recently qualified as a block therapy instructor, which is very exciting to me, which is a self fascia release practice on the mat with a block. It's called therapy, but it's a practice like yoga, Pilates. But really, it can be very meditative, which I really like, and I love the fact that we spend at least 3 minutes in each position, and it's very quiet. It can quieten the mind, and we're going to talk some today about listening, and I find it really optimal for that. It's really, really a really great practice for that. If we do it in the way that we're not listening to the telly or something. I was just telling Julie, I just had an hour on the mat with my block and with Sydney Banks, and that was really meditative. So I just had him in the background while I was on the block, and it was really beautiful. So that's my most recent endeavor, and I'm very passionate about that at the moment. I'm really seeing how much life has been teaching me about the body, mind. I have had a history of chronic diseases, let's say, with labels and symptoms and all that sort of thing, it's taken me on quite the journey. And I love how in alignment this fascia release is with looking at how we work psychologically and spiritually. It really is very in alignment. So I'm very excited about sort of a new direction in the work that I'm doing in terms of helping people with their physical, emotional, mental, spiritual beings. Yeah, so that's about all I want to say about me at the moment. So I'm going to go over to you, Jules. You want to say
Yeah,
something about you and your
yeah.
journey?
So I am living in Northern Ireland and I'm a physiotherapist, have been for over 35 years. I know the ones that know me here are probably fed up hearing this story about me, but yeah, my journey was that I developed like post-viral fatigue after viral meningitis, which developed into chronic fatigue. I And then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and I also told that I might have depression. And I was really struggling to work as a physio. And I decided I'd heard about myofascial release in the distance somewhere and knew that it was more gentle for the physio to deliver it. So I thought, right, I will go and learn that so that I can keep working. I wasn't very good at listening to my body, despite the fact that I'd worked with bodies for over 35 years. I, but yeah, when I learned myofascial release, it totally transformed not only my own life, but the life of my patients. And it really opened up the whole mind body connection for me. A mind body connection had never been mentioned in my physiotherapy training. It was very linear, very scientific. I, So yeah, that it was a total transformation in the way that I worked. And I I guess that discovering myofascial release, it really highlighted to me a deeper understanding of the fascia and how amazing and incredible the body is. And in my training, I was taught that every square inch of fascia that has become more solidified and more sticky can create up to 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. So, my teacher, John Barnes, would often say you're walking around as if you're wearing a straitjacket, really, with all that huge compressive force through your organs and your joints and your pain sensitive structures. So, it really can wreak havoc in your body. And I had found myself there. In that place because I had ignored the wisdom of my body. I'd ignored those whispers and hadn't listened to my body at all. I was very much living life from the neck up, just totally consumed by my thoughts and my thinking and achieving and running a business and just all in my head, and had ignored my body for so long that it almost brought me to a complete stop. But as we look today, more about really listening to our bodies, we become aware of where we're bracing or holding tension in our bodies. And with awareness comes choice. And on the retreat also, that's what we would really love to hold space a for people to really tune into their body and be able to recognize where they brace and hold tension in your own body so that you have the choice of whether to let go or to keep bracing. I and there's it's very different when you let go. It's not like a traditional stretch. It's a bit of a mind shift really, because there's nothing really to do. It's really just about, like, if you imagine, if you find that your shoulders are up around your ears because you're really anxious about something, if you shove your shoulders back down, as soon as you take your awareness away from that, they're just going to creep back up again. But if you're able to feel what's holding them up there and really soften and let go, then that becomes much more ingrained and it releases the fascia so that they don't end up back up around your ears again. So yeah, I had a beautiful experience recently. Just the week before last, I was on a retreat in the south of England, and it was 14 beautiful women. It was such a lovely group of women. And every morning, the lady that was hosting the retreat, Dorothy, would ask us just to check in with our bodies and just to express what we were feeling, what we were sensing, what was coming to mind. And it was just such a beautiful practice to do each morning as we each opened up and shared what was new for us or how we were just feeling in our bodies. I so yeah, I would love to create a space like that in our retreat, to just really go deep and to listen. So I think Sheila is gonna take us a wee bit more into that.
Mm, yeah, beautiful. I loved listening when you were telling me about your time on retreat. It was you told me a lot more than that.
Yeah.
You sounded really, really, really special. There's something about dancing, wasn't there, Julie?
Yes, yes. I
It's
yeah,
up to you
because
whether you want to share about that or
yeah,
not.
I
I don't
will,
know.
because if you know me, like, I hate dancing. I'm so self-conscious and I never get up at a wedding or anything like that. My husband's always like saying, "Come on, we'll get up just for one dance." And I'm going, "No, no." And there was a session on the retreat. It was called 360 Movement, and it was for 90 minutes. And we all went into this barn, And I was stood with my back against the wall thinking, I really don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. But I can't even put it into words because it wasn't traditional dancing. It was the beat of the music was quite strong, and it was really about trusting your body's wisdom. It was quite primal, you just moved with the music, and nothing was wrong. You didn't have to do it any certain way. But by the end of the 90 minutes, I was a different person. She opened the barn doors at the back, and we all went out onto the grass. And I even get emotional talking about it now because I've never felt such a sense of freedom in my own body, as I did at the end of that 90 minutes. And it's shocking to say that I work with bodies, but it was a personal thing. But yeah, it was a very special experience. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Jill. Appreciate that. Hmm. And the thing, it will be a personal thing because that's how we move through life, right? We're very enamored with our personal thinking. We're very enamored with our stories about ourselves
Yeah.
and the world around us.
Mm.
Um, and so as Julie said, we're going to, I mean, we are going to have a listening exercise today, and I just want to sort of set the scene and um, talk a little bit about what deep listening is. And some of you would have heard this before. Some of you have shared this with me before, Sue, too. So, um, yeah, I was saying when I was listening to Sid earlier today and not long ago, actually, and it really, he was talking about love and it really reminded me that when we're in a state of deep listening, which is really about not listening to our own personal thinking, not listening, especially to what words are coming out. If we're listening to one person, not listening to their words particularly, but we're definitely not personal to personal. That's what I heard him say. We're soul to soul. We're heart to heart. Whatever words make sense to you. We're listening and communicating past the busy mind, past the personal stories, past the judgment, past the beyond that, beyond the thinking. And there was, I had some of you may know Joe Bailey, who's written quite a few books. One of them being "Slowing Down to the Speed of Life," and um, he shared with us that he had a sign up on his wall. He's a psychologist that said, "Everybody needs a good listening to." And I think that's so true. Like who here does not want to be listened to? It's like I'd be shocked if anybody put their hand up and said, "No, I don't want anybody to listen to me." Just, no. We all feel differently when we know that somebody's really present with us, when we know somebody's listening to us, when there is a space, a safe space. I think there's something about safety as well, knowing that when somebody is listening to us with no judgment, not really caring about the content or the anything that's shared whatsoever, just purely being like a big ear or a big heart, just literally allowing us to be who we are. I think there's something about giving us permission to absolutely say anything we want and know that we're not going to be interrupted. That's part of when we're deeply listening. We're not looking for a space to try and get our bit in. We're literally sitting back and allowing somebody to speak, somebody to share what they want. And it just came to me then, and actually, maybe it's not only about speaking, maybe it's also about just sitting with somebody in silence. Maybe the person that we're with us doesn't have anything to share. And that's okay too, because if we're creating that space, it's like nobody needs to say anything. But that being able to be together, I imagine you've had that experience with somebody in your life somewhere along the line where it's been very comfortable just to be with somebody without speaking and knowing it's all okay. It's very okay to be in that space and not speak. That's deep listening. That's being present with somebody with no expectation, no judgment, not looking for a solution for somebody. That was kind of my biggest one. Especially when I'm coaching with somebody, I always used to think I needed to have the answer. They come with a problem, I needed to have the answer. No, I know now that the person in front of me, they have the answer if they need an answer. They're going to find what they need to find purely by my being with them, and they're able to explore and find out for themselves what's happening. And to link it to what we're going to be up to on the retreat with the quiet mind, quiet body is what we're going to be encouraging everyone to do, and now is to be listening to ourselves. Because this is not just about other people. This is about listening to this body, listening really, but really listening, not through what we think we know. Like, I think I know so many things about health. I listen to so many other experts about what they know about the body and the health and chronic illness, etc., etc., etc. And so all that's logged in my brain, and I can have a symptom or something's happening in my body, and I can go to that library and pull out all those pieces of information and try and make sense of them. That's not what we're talking about in terms of listening. What if we came to a place where we literally have none of that on our minds, or we see it and we can just go, no, not now. Like, thanks, but not now. I want to be purely not knowing right now, just coming from a space of I don't know, and listening beyond the personal, listening to what wisdom is guiding us to 24/7. There's always something new for us to hear. And maybe there's nothing that comes through in that moment, and that's okay too. So there's a lot of in what I'm sharing now, it also being with what is. It's all absolutely perfect as it is right now. Yeah, not knowing. Yeah. So really, that's where all the juicy stuff is, because we already know a lot. It's all logged in the library. What really perhaps the body wants to tell us is something that we don't know yet. You know, the body's communicating with us beautifully all the time. So what we thought would be, I mean, I can spend a long time talking about what deep listening is, but the most in my experience, having run retreats on deep listening in the past, the most I suppose I want to use the word transformational, but the most informative is for you to learn for yourself, is to practice, is to have an experience, to go listen and be listened to. So what we're going to do is we're going to send you out into breakout rooms, just into pairs. That will be you'll be randomly assigned. And we're going to ask you for 5 minutes each way. So 5 minutes, you decide when you get into your room who wants to do what. Interesting, people start dropping off now. That's fine. You stay, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to. That's perfectly okay too. We want you to 5 minutes, one person speaks, and 5 minutes, one person listens. And then I send through a message to say the 5 minutes is up, and then you can swap over. And so that's literally 10 minutes, and then we'll come back together and we'll have a little bit of a feedback and hear from some of you, and just your job now is not to try. Okay, thanks, Melissa, for letting us know. It's not about trying to listen. That's one pointer. That's one of the big mistakes I made at the beginning. It's really just noticing. Just go in, listen, notice, see what comes up for you when you're listening and when you're listened to too. And yeah, and we'll come back into the room. So I'm going to create some. How many people are we now? Okay. Okay, so about 3 people. Let's see, 10. Let me see if I can work this out. If you end up in a room and you can't talk or don't want to talk, then okay, so somebody said they can't. 1, 2, 4. Bear with me a second.
Yeah, Sheila, is there a topic or just
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So the topic is how does stress show up in your body? Right, I'm going to open the rooms and I can shuffle people around if you don't want to go in, that's fine. And if you're on your own, I'll be able to see that probably, or may not. Just leave me a message. Okay, so the rooms are open now. You should be sent off to your rooms. We need to start recording. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So, yeah, the question is, well, one of the questions is, if anybody would like to share, we would love for you to share. Question is, how was you listening?
Great.
What did you notice? Anybody want to share?
I don't mind.
Thanks, Gail.
It's sort of interesting, isn't it, how your mind can go, oh, me too. Or, a thought goes through, but just noticing I don't have to pay attention to those. In some ways, it would be very easy to pick up that thread and elaborate it, or even, ask a question, although that wasn't allowed. In another circumstance, I might ask a question, but just to let go of all that, the sort of what arises in response to somebody's sharing, or the curiosities that arise. Oh, I wonder what that was. Or, it's interesting, all the things that get triggered in my mind by what somebody shares, and go, no, I don't need to know that now. I can let that go. So that felt quite doable, but it was just being aware of that, things popping up and putting them down, popping them up and putting, or just not engaging with them would be a better way of putting it, I would say. I think that's what particularly stood out for me this time. So yes, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So there's a noticing, and then there's a okay. I mean, that's all we've got, really. All we've got. It's a powerful thing. We've got this gift of noticing. So we get to notice, and that dissipates it. It's gone then. It's like we're back in the present moment. We're back in the listening. Beautiful. Thank you, Gail. Monica, you have your hand up. Would you like to?
I'll talk. Gee, I forgot that the question was, what was our experience? We did communicate quite, we sort of listened. But I've been caught by Mavis Khan on one of her programs on overthinking. She interrupted to say, could I interrupt you? I said, please do. But I was sort of doing what you were doing, Sheila. Like, it was good information. So I thought it was okay. I follow so many practices with physical pain and burning. And I'm still doing that. This morning I listened to so many. So I'm in the process of getting up and moving. So now I'm talking about my physical condition, aren't I? But we're supposed to be talking about this.
Well, I was curious to know how your listening was. Yeah.
Well, I love listening to her, but I love conversations. I mean, at one time I was like a mute. And then I got an opportunity to work in addictions as a nurse and listen to George Pransky or Sid. These people listened to me. And it was like, what? It was phenomenal. So I helped them because I pointed them in the direction of the three principles, well-being. but they listened to me, and it was like a huge, like, wow, I can talk and listen. So that was a huge for me, my throat to open. So now I enjoy conversation. So for me, I guess I'm getting a little preoccupied with the burning difficulty that happened this morning. So that's not part. What's listening to my body? Okay, got it. That is the topic. But Julie is talking about fascia, which is a physical condition. You know, we are talking about the body. Like it's not just, I don't know, I'm just thinking about that. Like I think, well, I'm not in my spiritual moment. That's why I'm in pain.
Interesting. Only you know for you, Monica. Only you know for you.
I know. Well, I'm trying to get there. But I must tell you, I found a book today, A New God by Donald. Well, I know his story. But we have a little bookstore in a little alley. And today I took all the books, Sid's books, all these knowledge books. I said they're going over there. But when I'm over there, it was overwhelming the number of spiritual knowledge books. So I know I'm in a community of people like Donald, I forget his name. He says there is always a God, but it's a new God. So I think we are elevating our worldly consciousness. So I mean, I'm just sort of saying I'd like to be teaching more and sharing because then I heal. Like, look what you do, even though you have physical discomfort. I mean, I think you got beyond the physical disability. So you keep sharing, and I'm sharing today, and I so love the breakout. Done this
Thank
for
you.
years. Okay, signing
Thank you.
off.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you. Great to have you with us.
Bye.
Julie, do you have anything you wanted to add?
I was similar to
You were.
Gail when I was listening. Or no, I shared first. There was three in our group. So I shared first, and then when Marguerite started to talk,
Okay.
I did find myself thinking, "Oh, I should have said something more," you know. So yeah, and then I had to drop that thought and go back to just listening. So yeah, we all get caught up in those thoughts that pop in. But yeah, similar to Gail. Yeah.
I'm curious. I'd love to hear how people felt because I think for me, there's something really different about being in a state. Is it for me? It's a state of deep listening versus not. Like, would you? I mean, it'd be really great if you could type some words into the chat in terms of how did it feel to be listened to in those 5 minutes that you knew that you were being completely listened to. How did that feel? And also, how did it feel? No, just start with that one. Keep it simple. How did it feel to be listened to, given that space? Let's see what words come up. Just one word. How did it feel? It's a great gift to get this space. Thank you. Very tender, lovely, spacious, free. Miss something. Yeah, very tender, lovely, spacious, free. Held, warm. Yeah. Unlimited, unjudgmental, understood, peaceful, deep, spacious, and open. Yeah. And isn't it interesting that all those words, for me, they feel they're expansive. Like they feel good, they feel expansive, they feel safe, maybe. I don't know. And then the opposite, when you don't feel heard, how does that feel? I'm sure you can remember a time when you haven't been heard. I know I can. Often involves doctors. And partners, yeah, lonely, frustrating, shut down, small, absolutely closed off, frustrated, unimportant, isolating, yeah, separate. See, for me, they're all the opposite of the contracted, this contracted feeling, that feeling of contraction, irritating, yeah. And so just to take it over to the body, imagine that's your body, that's not being listened to. That we're so busy in our minds of we haven't got time to sit down and relax, or we've got too much to do. The sort of narrative. Yeah, I'll do that later. Yeah, I'll take a tablet just to get rid of that pain now. Yeah, I'll do. Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, and your body's quietly communicating to you until it gets louder and louder and louder. But all those words there just occurs to me now. What if your body's feeling like that? Metaphorically, in a way, isn't it? Closed off, isolated, unimportant, frustrated, lonely, small. What if the body's feeling that? That because our minds are reflected in our bodies, right? So not being listened to has that effect on being ignored, unimportant, has that effect on our bodies. So what we're proposing is that we can deeply listen to our own bodies, our mind bodies, because there's no separation. There's that one system. What if that's the invitation, really. And that's the invitation for sure when we run the retreat in September. We will be spending some time in listening. It just feels so important that it's presence as much as it's presence. Being present, like Julie's book, Quiet Mind, Quiet Body, that's what she's pointing to, right, Julie? Quiet. So we're going to be, Julie's going to be leading one of her lovely meditations just for the last 5 minutes, but just before she does that, to take you off quietly and settle down. Just before she does that, we wanted to talk to you about how we see the retreat being. And Julie shared at the beginning, she's just been on a retreat. I think you said 14 or 12 or 14 ladies.
14 women.
And I know you mentioned to me that it's the people that make the retreat. It's nothing to do with us. We're not experts. We want to create this beautiful space, and I always see circles. I always see us all in a circle. Sacred space, sacred time, being together, being in communion in a way. Dare I use the word love? I know there's at least 3 people on this call that are on the last one, and 5 including us, Julie. We just dropped into a lovely, lovely space together, and we broke bread many times together, and we sat in a room and we had conversations, and then we went in the evenings and we had fascia release with Julian, unwinding physically and emotionally and mentally. It was a very beautiful time. And I mean, there's so much for us to see, as we know on this journey with the 3 principles. There's just always more to see. There's always more to uncover, and that's how we see this space in September. That we'll be giving space to see what's there, see what's speaking to us, see what's communicating with us, and unwind somewhat. Uncover, let stuff come to the surface and dissipate. So yeah, I mean, we keep it very spacious on purpose. We have a morning session, then we offer this space in the afternoon for you to go off and explore Elbeer. It's a beautiful town by the sea. We've got mountains, we've got sea, we've got sunshine, got lots of lovely cafes. it's a really beautiful place, and so it's very I can't think of the word now. What's the word? But
Special.
yeah, okay, that's a good word for the nourishing space that we feel that we're offering. Yeah, I'm just going to put the link into the chat, and there you go. If you want to go see more, we do have an early bird on at the moment. We have a few sign-ups. And then we're limiting it to 10 people. We want to keep it small. So we still have some spaces left. You're very, very welcome to join us. We'd love you to be with us in September. Okay, so I think without further ado, Julie, is there anything you wanted to add to what I've just said?
Just that I will be staying on for 2 days after the retreat to offer some one-to-one myofascial release treatments for anyone that would like to experience that. But that is, an additional add-on if you're interested. But yeah, it's nice to experience the hands-on treatment as well as you'll get very familiar with this little ball in the myofascial release self-release classes. So yeah, that's it.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to hand over to you then. And then, I don't know, will you say anything at the end, or are we just going to?
No, I think it's nice just to maybe just if it's a short meditation, you don't have to lie down. But I just encourage you to maybe close your eyes but yeah, I'm just gonna read this, and then I think it's nice just to switch off or leave the room just on your own and just maybe spend the next 5 minutes afterwards just in some stillness. So that's what I'd encourage, but up to yourselves. Okay. So let's begin by closing our eyes and softening our bodies. Imagine your thinking mind as a snow globe that's just been shaken with hundreds of thoughts swirling around. Allow those thoughts to gently float towards the ground and listen to the silence inside. Shift your focus to your breath and feel into the edges of your body. Feel your body welcome you. Let yourself remember you are part of this vast world. It's so easy to get lost in our minds throughout our day, to give all of our energy and attention to our fears, to stoke the fire of our distrust, to grow our worries, to nurse our pain, to get lost in those landscapes we visit again and again in our minds. It takes courage and wisdom to consciously take this pause, to engage with our body, to thank it for holding us here and now. It takes courage to allow ourselves to sink back into this body, to remember we are constantly being invited back into our bodies, to remember we are part of our aching hearts and exhausted bodies. It takes great courage and wisdom to choose this type of embodiment, to choose to spend this moment this way. May we remember the beauty within and the beauty that comes knocking at the door of you. The beauty of the sun on our face. Beauty in the crunch of autumn leaves under our feet. Beauty in the smile of a stranger as they walk by. Beauty in the laughter of children. Beauty is always there, but we don't often let it in. Instead, we are rushing from one thought to the next, forgetting to pause long enough to answer the knock at the door, to open up our beings, to take the breath that allows joy to wash through our body. Breathing in, I allow beauty all the way into my body, to swirl through my tissues, around the cavity of my heart. I allow it to blow like wind through my cluttered mind. I allow it to ground me here in what is most true. I allow it to open my heart. Beauty is always there. May we remember to let it in.
Not sure whether you want to wake people up or you're just going to let them. Some people have dropped off probably.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us. It's lovely.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really nice to hang out. Yeah, really nice.
Thank you.
And see you again.
You're welcome.
Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you.